Good evening and welcome out everyone to tonight's tackle trading onboarding webinar. Coach Frank here. I will be taking you through the tackle trading website this evening, just showing you around a little bit, letting you know when things are, where they are, what we're doing over here, when we're doing it, to hopefully give you a better idea of how to use tackle trading. So thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me. As we kind of dive in, I break tackle trading down into three areas when I'm explaining it. The things that you can do on your own, that's going to be courses and blogs and trade journals and things of that nature. Then things that you can do with others, that's going to be our daily and weekly schedule. And lastly, our weekend reports. So that is going to be kind of the angle that we come at it here tonight as well. In a nutshell, though, tackle trading, to me at least, is really just a bunch of traders that have come together to help each other out, be there, share what's working, share what's not, share things that they've learned along the way. Really just a community of like-minded traders. And while nobody can ever make another person's trades for them, we can certainly share our knowledge and our experiences with one another to hopefully make all of us better traders. So let's see here as we get ready to dive in. Just very quickly, I would highlight a couple of things over on Trading Justice. Each week, the guys over at Trading Justice do the TJ podcast. It's definitely a really good listen, certainly worth incorporating into your weekly routine. You can find it right at tradingjustice.com, and I'm in the Trade Center right now. And this little link here will take you directly to tradingjustice.com. You can listen to the podcast over there. You can also listen to it on any of your favorite podcast providers. Definitely a good addition to a weekly routine. There's also a monthly newsletter over at tradingjustice.com. This week, it's this month, I guess I should say, just came out today, is on Bitcoin proxies and different ways that we can play into the crypto markets. I'm excited to dive into it. It just came out like right before this webinar, so I haven't had a chance to read it, but I'm sure it's going to be great. It's a really good newsletter that they do over there each and every month. So head on over to tradingjustice.com and catch the pod, catch the newsletter. I think you will enjoy it. Coming back over to tackle trading, let's dive right on into things, and let's kind of start with the things that you can do on your own. And to me at least, that's first thing that's going to come to mind is courses, and we do have several of them available to all of our pro members, including the 7-step guide to trading. This is about a 2-hour course. It'll kind of, in some ways, it's kind of a look at the tackle trading way. I do think from a foundational level, we as a community do take a similar approach to the market. And of course, no two traders are the same, but we do share, core beliefs. We're big on that top-down analysis, starting at the top of the market and working down, matching the strategy to our market bias or bias on that particular stock or product. We're watch list traders, so cultivating and managing those watch lists, of course, planning, placing, and managing the trade, and absolutely journaling the trade. So in a lot of ways, this will kind of take you through the tackle trading approach. If you're newer to the market in particular, it'll probably be really helpful in giving you a little bit of structure in your routine as well. If you're a vet, if you've been trading for a while, you probably have a routine down, but I bet you can get a couple things in there that might make it a little bit better as well. I think, new traders, old traders, and everything in between can probably get a little bit out of the 7-step guide to trading. Of course, as traders, charting is very important to us. It's, when are we doing things? Where are we, getting in, out, setting stops, moving stops, all of that stuff. The more we understand those charts, I think the easier our life as traders is going to be. And so Technical Analysis 101 is going to focus on just that, right? Charts, and more charts, identifying support and resistance and trends and pivots and patterns and candles and all of that fun stuff. Every trader can get better at technical analysis. I seriously doubt there's any trader in the world that's always right in their technical analysis. I know I'm not. I certainly try to be, and I think we all do. There's always something more to learn. So I would definitely highlight that technical analysis course. I do think, as traders, we need to stay as sharp as possible on our charting skills, and Tech 101 should help you do just that. If you're new to options, or even intermediate in the options market, the Options 101 course can be really helpful. It's really going to focus on kind of what's going on behind the scenes when you buy or sell that call option. What are the factors that are impacting its price? Options are not as clear cut as stock, in the sense of stock. If you buy it for 20 and sell it for 21, you made $1. And that's true whether it was a 5-minute trade, 5-hour trade, a 5-day trade, a 5-week trade, a 5-month trade, right? With options, there's a lot of other factors that's going on behind the scenes. And that's fine. We just need to understand them, right? And the better we understand them, the better we're going to understand any of the different strategies that we're employing through the options market. So the Options 101 course will really help you get a better handle on that end of the options world. I'll show you where you can find all the strategies here in a few minutes, but we really will be focusing on that side over at Options 101. If you've ever been interested in learning more about the futures or the currency markets, but not exactly known where to start, I know those can be confusing and intimidating markets if you've never, dove into them. And we've got some courses here on both of those to help you get a better understanding of what's going on over in those markets. If you don't want to trade Forex, that's fine. That's what's great about trading is we can trade the things that we like and not trade the other things, right? But I don't want you to feel like you can't trade Forex or futures because it's too big for you or anything along those lines. So if you've ever, wanted to take a closer look at those markets, either or both of them, this can be a really great place to start to give you a better understanding to see if it's something you do want to look further into, or maybe it isn't for you, at least right now. And that's cool either way. No matter what we're trading, no matter what our time frames, right? Whether we're trading stock, options, commodities, cryptos, currencies, whatever, whether we're day traders, swing traders, position traders, something in the middle of all of those, who knows? One thing is certain: we all need to have very clear rules and systems in place. And I think every trader agrees with that. I've never talked to somebody who said, nah, let's just wing it and hope for the best. I think we all understand how important that is. The reality is, though, is we're people. And for many of us, that's not our natural state of being. And so the system development course is really designed to help you approach trading from a systematic perspective. It is a fantastic course. I cannot recommend it enough, regardless of how new or experienced you are in the market, what your time frames are, what products you like to trade, what strategies you like to employ. Everyone, in my opinion, can get something out of that system development course. It really is a fantastic course, and I would certainly suggest bumping it up towards the top of the to-do list. That's just me. We also have several premium systems available that we do offer. These are one-time purchases. They're complete systems. The system is yours for life. Every month we get together with that team in a mastermind group. While we won't go too crazy on it, just so you know what they are, the Tackle 25 is a covered call-based system on a select group of stocks that we put together each year with the intent of covered calling, and cash flowing throughout the upcoming year. Step system is our approach to swing trading the markets, just stands for stop loss, target, entry, and position size. Cash flow condors, another cash flow system, this time on the Russell 2000, and the bear market survival guide, kind of protecting our long-term portfolio from bearish market turns and then dealing with those bearish market conditions once we are in them. If you would like any more information on any of those systems, you can find them over in the store tab. Feel free to send us an email to team@tackletrading.com. We'd be happy to get you some more information if you would like to do so. In addition to the courses, we regularly do blog content, whether it's more charting and tales of a technician, or options in the option theory, taking concepts kind of from the ground up and building up over in the Rookie Corner with Coach Greg, hearing from our awesome female trading community in the Women in Trading group. So these are just going to be relatively short reads, probably around 5 minutes, but just another way that we can share ideas with the team throughout the week, another way that we can kind of highlight things that maybe we're seeing. So, not everything has to be a course or a webinar or something along those lines. Sometimes a 5-minute read can be a really good bit of information. So definitely worth incorporating into that weekly routine. Over in the Trade Center, you're going to find a few things. You'll find a link to our trading glossary, a link to our trading journals. We'll talk about that again here in a few minutes. A link to our events calendar, and also the Tackle Trading Playbook. This is where you're going to find our strategies and the rules for those strategies. So we break all of our strategies down into three core areas: delta, theta, and vega, based on the option Greeks. Delta is going to be directional, right? I think the stock's going from 50 to 55 type of stuff. That's going to be buying or selling stock. That is going to be buying calls or buying put options, doing debit spreads, doing diagonal spreads. When you hear delta, think direction, right? These are directional based strategies. Then you got the theta side. When you think theta, think cash flow, think time decay, right? That's what's cool about options is we can sell them, bring in that premium, and take advantage of the one guarantee, which is today is going to pass, right? And that's going to include things like those covered calls and naked puts and credit spreads and iron condors, right? That's the type of strategies that you'll find here in the theta side. And then lastly, you'll find the vega or the volatility playbook. This is where we are playing the volatility or the expected volatility of the market or of the stock, not the direction of the stock. So we're coming out of earnings season, right? We've seen some pretty crazy moves on some stocks. Maybe we wanted to build a trade that said, hey, you know what? I don't know if, Tesla is going to have a great run on its earnings or not. It might have a great one, might have a terrible one, but I think it's going to move a lot either way. These are the type of trades that you'll find in the Vega or the volatility playbook. In all of them, there will be a video, detailed video going over, what the strategy is, why we would choose the strategy, what our rules for the strategy are, how we would do the strategy, how we'd set the order up on the strategy, kind of the whole 9 yards to walk you through the process. There's also a little downloadable PDF cheat sheet, so you have easy access to the rules for that strategy. You will notice that on all of them, there is something from a 0 to a plus or a -3, and that's just our bias, right? So if you think about 0 being neutral, 1 or -1 being slightly bearish or slightly bullish, 2 or -2 being bullish or bearish or moderately bullish, moderately bearish, however you wanted to word that, and 3 or -3 being very bullish or very bearish. We always want to match the strategy to the situation. So if I think a stock can have a slow grind throughout the upcoming months, I probably don't want to do something as aggressive as a call option, right? Because that doesn't line up with my read of it. I might want to employ a strategy that's a little bit more mellow, like maybe a debit spread or something along those lines. So that's what these are. That's just letting you know where we see the strategy along that spectrum. 0 to 3 or 0 to -3. So that is the tackle trading playbook. If you go directly into the Trade Center, this will take you to a What's Up at Tackle Trading page. What's the next show, our most recent posts, link to our most recent report, our most recent tweet. There is a watch list function in here. So if you'd like to have an easily accessible watch list without having to log into your charting software, your brokerage account, depending on where you're doing your charting, very easy to do. Just add your symbol here, hit the plus button, and that will be in there for you. Hit the minus button, and that'll get rid of it. A little mini upcoming calendar of the next couple of days, either a live showing or a replay of one of our YouTube shows, whether it's this show or the halftime report or the Wednesday night webinar, where you are on any courses, so you can pick right back up where you left off. If you're in the middle of the futures course, you don't want to spend the first 10 minutes trying to figure out where exactly did you leave, right? So you'll find a link to the market skyline. This is where we're going to have all the charts for the big stuff. That's going to be the indexes. We'll have the index futures, right, for the Dow, the NASDAQ, the RUT, the S&P, Bitcoin, the emerging markets, the major commodities, gold, silver, copper, crude, etc., the sector spider ETFs. These are a core part of the daily routine, right? We want to stay on top of the market and take that top-down approach. You don't have to do this on this page by any means, but if you're not doing so already, I would definitely encourage you to incorporate this into your daily routine. I think it will make a lot smoother. We just wanted to have all of this stuff on one easy to access page. There's also a link to the Finviz heat maps here. This will just bring you to finviz.com to the heat map for the day. It's set for the S&P 500. Just a visual. Hey, what was up? What was down today? Any areas in the market stand out? Semi's pretty strong here today. Wow, Google really, really weak, right? So just a visual to help generate ideas It is defaulted to the S&P 500 one-day performance, but there is some customization. You can look at it weekly, monthly, quarterly performance, et cetera, certain fundamental ratios, how it performed on its earnings date. So there's a little bit of customization. Obviously, we're not going to get a trade off of this at face value, but maybe an area stands out to us as, well, let's go take a closer look at some stocks in this area, whether it's from a bullish or a bearish point of view. You'll find a link to a news aggregator. This is just going to go through some of the bigger financial sites. It's going to go through Wall Street Journal, MSNBC, the Times, Market Watch is usually in here, probably a little bit further down, and just kind of gathered the headlines for us, put them in one spot so we can just kind of easily roll through and click on things that are actually interesting to us instead of having to bounce around several different sites and click this and click that. Really just designed to save some time. It's not like we can't do that, but it's nice to have them all in, kind of one location so I can easily kind of browse and actually read the headlines that interest me and kind of do my best at least to avoid the rest. You find a link to the economic calendar so you can see what's on the docket for the day or for the upcoming week. Just make sure we're on top of that. You'll find another link to our market reports, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. You'll find another link to our trade journals. If you come into the trade journals like we just did here in the Trade Center, you can also catch them just on the drop down of the Trade Center tab up top. But if you come into it this way, there will be the tutorial in here to kind of help you get going on that journal if you need some help. Some people do. There's no shame in that. Not everybody picks up the spreadsheet right out of the gates. So there will be a tutorial to help you out. You can also, if you do come into them this way, you can download them. You can have the trade journal. You can have the theta research tool and the portfolio journal. Just select whichever one you wanted, and you can get that downloaded. It is really important to journal your trades. Every trade you make is data. If you let it be, if you are journaling your trades already, very happy to hear that. If you're not, no time like the present. Make it a goal to start journaling every trade that you make. You'll find a link to the compounding gains calculator just to help you visualize the compounding power of money. A link to a chart if you ever need one. Another link to our glossary, link to our search function, which you can also find up in this little magnifying glass. And the search function is pretty smart here, at least in my opinion, at Tackle Trading. So if you're ever looking for something, say, you heard us talk about poor boy covered calls and wanted to get a little more information on them, let's see what we got there. I'm just going to tell it to show me all the results. And we're probably going to find, we're going to have a cash flow club talking about it, a blog talking about it, a two-part series talking about it in the cash flow club. So a lot of information can be found a lot of times just by hitting that search function. Never hesitate to reach out to us if you're looking for something, can't find it. Don't spend an hour looking for something by any means. But a lot of times it can really be just that quick. If you can't find it, just send us an email. We'll be happy to find it for you. But a lot of times that is going to be the fastest way to do that. So that's going to kind of wrap us up in a lot of ways with that first basket, the things that you can do on your own. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit and let's talk about that second area, and that's the schedule, the things that you can do with other traders. And let's start with the day-to-day, the average market day. Each market morning at 11 Eastern, we're going to get together in our Traders Lounge. It's going to be for an hour. It's going to be right here on Tackle Trading. It's a place where all of our team can get together and ask any questions that they are having. So if you're struggling with something, if you've got a setup that you want to share with other traders, get some other eyeballs on, if you're managing a trade and want to kind of talk through some options, if you are struggling with your daily routine, if you're struggling with a particular strategy, whatever it is, right? Maybe just want to come in and hang out with some other traders and listen in and stuff like that. I mean, there's not a wrong way to use the Traders Lounge. It's very informal. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's question is important to us, whether it's, a brand new trader's perspective or, a very advanced trader's perspective. We're all on the same page here. We all want to see each other succeed in the market. So nobody's going to, get mad at your question or anything along those lines. Don't let it intimidate you. That is every market morning at 11 Eastern. You are always welcome in there. Bring your questions if you have them, or if you just want to come in and listen in, and you'll get some ideas for sure in there. We do not regularly record this one, but we will record snippets and get them posted in here from time to time. Just, things that will be just as useful a year from now as they were the day that we talked about them, like how to build a broken wing butterfly, right? The example stock probably will be in a much different location, but how to build that trade, that's going to be the same tomorrow and next Thursday and the day after Christmas and next year at this time, so we can get them posted. And if your schedule is such that you just can't make it to the lounge, maybe you're at work every time the lounge is up and running, but you do need some help, let us know. Send us an email. Let us know. We are always going to do our best to accommodate you, and it's not a huge deal for us to cover that topic and record it and get it posted in here for you when you can catch it at a better time. Just let folks know. We'll always do our best to accommodate you. So that's every market morning. If the market's going that day, you can expect the lounge to be going that day as well. Shortly after the lounge is over, we head over to our YouTube channel at 12:30 Eastern to do the tackle trading halftime report. That's that live looking at the market, taking that top-down approach to our daily routine. What's going on in the market today? How is it impacting our charts? How are the different areas of the market looking? Be it indexes, commodities, Bitcoin, stocks in the news, all that fun stuff to really work through that daily routine. That's live on YouTube at 12:30 p.m. Eastern every single market day. And of course, being on YouTube, once the stream is over, you can catch it just directly on our channel. So every day, every market day, whether it's over here at Tackle Trading in the Lounge or over on our YouTube channel at 12:30 for the halftime report, we will be working with our team through the markets. I hope to see you in both of those shows. Then we're going to have our evening slate of shows. On Tuesday nights, we do what I would probably consider the flagship show here at Tackle Trading. That's the Coaches Show. It's Tuesday night. We're a couple days into the trading week, right? Maybe certain things are standing out, maybe a certain industry standing out or a certain sector standing out, whether that's from a bullish or a bearish perspective. We can do a quick market skyline, talk about that stuff, what's standing out to us here as we get into, not quite the midpoint of the week. But what I really love about the Coaches Show, that stuff's important and that stuff's fun to talk about too. But what I really love about the Coaches Show is it allows us to really dive deep into a singular subject. There's so many things that we can talk about in the market, whether it's, particular strategies, trade and long calls versus bull call diagonals, right? Whether it's indicators, using moving averages, using the RSI, using, MACD divergence. There's so many things that we can talk about. And the Coaches Show really allows us to narrow it down, applicable to today's market, and have a detailed conversation on that topic. It really is a really good conversation. It is live on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, but it is recorded and archived. So if you cannot make it, if you need to rewatch it, if you want to watch, like we did our search of the poor boy covered calls, if you want to watch, some on subjects that are interesting to you, very, very easy to do. But I would definitely encourage you to make that part of your weekly routine. We'd love to have you live, but schedules are schedules, and we get that. So that's the Coaches Show, Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern. On Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we do our Cash Flow Club. This one's going to be a little more narrowly focused on, as this name would probably give it away, the cash flowing side of the trading, right? We're going to really focus on building and managing those cash flow theta-based strategies, the credit spreads, the covered calls, the condors, the naked puts, right? Both in the building and the managing of those strategies. So if you are a cash flow trader, or if you're interested in becoming a cash flow trader or incorporating some cash flow strategies into your directional trading style, I think you'll get a lot out of that Cash Flow Club on Thursday nights. Just like the Coaches Show, it is recorded and archived, so you can always revisit, rewatch, find subjects that intrigue you to focus on. On Wednesday night, we do things a little bit different. So I'm going to hop over into the events calendar. On Wednesday night, we do two things. On our YouTube channel at 7 Eastern, we do our Trade Masters webinar. That's Wednesday nights at 7 Eastern. A couple of the coaches will come together with some trade ideas. We're in the middle of the week, right? Might need to beef up that watch list a little bit, because some of those patterns that we were looking at going into the early part of the week, they hit the entries. we've already, got into them, or the pattern blew up, and or a lot of ways that we might need to add some quality trade ideas to our watch list as we get to the middle part of the week. It really is fun to be able to sit down with the team, with another coach, and just bounce trade ideas off of one another. Our community will vote on whose trade ideas they like the best for that evening, and whoever wins is designated the trade master for the week, which is also a lot of fun. But it really is just a way that we can get together with the team and share some ideas with them. So that's 7 Eastern right here on our YouTube channel. And then shortly after that at 8:30, we're going to do our Wednesday night Traders Lounge. We can go into more detail on any questions that folks might have had from any of the trade ideas that we discussed in the Trade Masters webinar. We can also address any other questions as well. So again, maybe you're, at work, every, morning when the lounge is going, but maybe you can get in on a Wednesday night and get some help from somebody if you actually need it. So that's going to be what we're doing here on Wednesday nights. We also have a tremendous team of female traders with us here at Tackle Trading. They get together about once a month in their Women in Trading Mastermind group. It tends to be towards the end of the month. I obviously don't get to go, but that's where it seems like it's usually happening. We'll make sure that we keep you posted, and as that gets scheduled, we get it promoted so everybody knows when it is. I don't exactly know what happens there because, again, I don't get to go, and that's okay. But I do know the team. I know that they're in there working hard. I know they're probably having a few laughs along the way. If you're a woman in trading, or if you know a woman in trading, I would definitely be on the lookout for that Women in Trading Mastermind group. I have no doubt you'll have a great time in there. And sorry, fellas, just like me, you'll have to find something else to do that evening. So that's generally what the schedule is going to look like. A very overly simplified way to think about it is the lounge is for your questions, where we can focus specifically on what you need us to focus on. The halftime report is really about that daily routine. And then the evening shows are really where we can kind of go into the teaching side of things, take that deeper dive, walk through step by step if need be. That is an overly simplified way to look at it for sure, but maybe it can kind of help it be a little more organized as you get to know us a little bit better. So that's going to be what the schedule looks like. Lastly, we've got our weekend report. So at the end of each market day on Fridays, usually Friday is the end of the week, some holidays that get in the way. We're about to maybe run into a few of them in the not too distant future, but that's all right. We get together as a group of coaches and we go through the markets together, right? We talk about, how we're individually seeing the different, sectors, commodities, currencies, all of that fun stuff, trade setups that we found that we're eyeballing for next week. And out of that meeting, we call that our scouting report meeting. Out of that scouting report meeting comes our weekend report. We'll get these to you by Saturday afternoon. So you have plenty of time to get through any or all of them before the market opens back up. Let's start with the Tackle newsletter. We are top-down traders here at Tackle Trading. We start at the top of the market. We go from index to sector to industry to stock, right? That's kind of what we mean when we say that. That's exactly what we're doing here each week in the Tackle newsletter. So, we'll do you a quick run-up of what the week that was, right? What are the storylines, that were on the market's mind this past week? What was impacting it? How did that affect our charts? Kind of all of that fun stuff. So you have a good, view of the week that was, a look ahead to the upcoming week, a look at the upcoming economic calendar. Of course, we'll talk you through this. You'll find a video in here talking you through it, where the overall market is, the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, the major indexes, to kind of let you know kind of where these indexes are and kind of how we're seeing that coming into the week. If you need them, there are the ETFs that track those indexes. If you're not familiar with them, you probably are, but DIA tracks the Dow Jones, QQQ tracks the NASDAQ, IWM tracks the Russell, and SPY tracks the S&P 500. These are just ETFs that track those indexes, right? So if you like the, breakout potential of the rut and want to play it, well, you can't play the index options, but they're pretty expensive. We could also play the IWM options, right? Or buy some shares of the ETF if that's what we wanted to do. We'll have the internals of the market. So we can kind of look and say, hey, let's get away from just the huge names that make up some of those indexes, right? Those are big names that really move the overall market for sure. But let's take a closer look at the internals. We're going to look at over 8,000 stocks to see, how strong or weak are we when we take a deeper look, past the surface, if you will. You're also going to find our gridiron. Each week, we're going to rank the S&P 500 and the sectors based off of what we're seeing. We're going to put it on a football field here. We're going to be using the components of the sector spider ETFs, which you can also find down here. And if you're unfamiliar with the sector spiders, what they are, they're ETFs. The website provider is just sectorspdr.com if you want to take a closer look at the ETF provider themselves. But what they do is they go into the S&P 500 and they pull out stocks just in that sector. So XLE, for example, is the energy sector ETF. We go into the S&P 500, we pull out just the energy stocks. We weight them accordingly because the S&P 500 is a weighted index. So this ETF is going to be weighted as well. We weighted accordingly. And now we're getting a much more isolated look at the energy sector versus, say, the industrial sector versus, say, the discretionary sector that's just been on fire lately, right? Strong sector. So these are going to help you get a quick look of the sector as a whole. When we're ranking the sectors, however, we're not doing it specifically off the ETF. We're going to be doing it off of the components that make up that ETF. As we're going through them, we're going to be ranking these sectors. We break the sectors into 3 different areas. You're going to have your growth-based sectors. That's going to be technology, discretionary, and communications. They'll be represented in blue here. You'll have the cyclical-based sectors. That's going to be the financial sector, the industrial sector, the energy, and the basic material sectors. And that's going to be repped in yellow here. And then lastly, the defensive sectors. That's going to be healthcare, staples, real estate, and utilities. So that's, going to be represented there in that purple. So we're going to have kind of those 3 core, groupings of the sectors, but we're going to, we're going to be, ranking each and every one of them. You might see us move up a little, down a little bit based off what we're seeing. You can kind of see we put it on a football field here. Between the 40s is going to be a neutral rating. 40 to 20 will be, slightly bullish or slightly bearish. Into, the 20 to the goal line will be, pretty darn bullish and pretty darn bearish. It's very unlikely that you'll ever see us put an entire sector into plus or minus 3 territory. You never say never, but I would say that it's very unlikely and it would be extremely rare. That's more aggressive than we are, to be quite honest with you, certainly more aggressive than I am. While it's not very difficult at all to put a individual stock in that aggressive of a bias, when you're thinking about an entire sector or an entire market, it really is fairly difficult to do just that. So we'll be moving up or down based off what we're seeing. We'll talk you through kind of the rationale and the thought process in the video, so you have a better idea of kind of why we're doing these things each and every week in the market. So that is going to be the gridiron there. At the end of our meeting, we do a rapid fire style segment where we just all share our favorite trade ideas or trade setups from the stock and the option report, which we'll talk about here in a minute. It's really just a fun way to end the meeting. All right, what setup do you like the most for the Bulls? What setup do you like the most for the Bears? I always hate that question because I'm a numbers trader, I guess, if you will. You trade a lot, a little. So, but it's still really fun to do and to share that with the team. We've recently got our tackle trading Discord up and running. If you are a pro member, would love to see you come join us over on Discord. You can get in through here, as you can kind of see. Come on over and say hello. It's a great way to be able to interact with the team over there as well. A little friendly reminder, match the strategy to the situation. We all can fall into the trap of getting so hung up on, I want to do a credit spread, I want to buy a call option, that type of stuff, that we don't want to do that. We want the chart and the market and the sector and that type of stuff to be leading that decision, right? Not just Frank likes calls, right? That's great. If that's true, fine, but that's not how we want to approach the market. So just a friendly reminder to make sure that we're doing just that. You will find a pre-built scanner. So if a particular area has caught your attention, maybe you're liking what you saw when you looked at that energy sector or that energy sector ETF, and I want to just do a quick view of some trading opportunities. Sure, we could trade the ETF, right? That's certainly a viable way, but ETFs generally are a little less volatile than stock, right? You usually don't see the same percentage move on them. So maybe you want to look for some particular stocks in that area. So once again, this is going to bring us to Finviz. I'm just going to hit this charts button here and get rid of that ad because I use a free Finviz. Love Finviz, but I do use the free one. So what this is going to do is just give us some side-by-side charts, right? Bird's eye view style. So we can kind of see, take a quick look at a bunch of charts. These stocks that you're going to find in here are going to be what I consider trader-friendly stocks. And what I mean when I say that is they've got plenty of liquidity. It's super easy to trade the shares. They're borrowable, so I can go long or short. They're optionable. Now, just because a stock has options on it doesn't mean those options are particularly liquid and great to trade. Make sure you're double checking. And if you don't know how to do that, that's the type of stuff you'll learn in that Options 101 course. You should always do that. You'd never want to get stuck in an illiquid option. But I would say as a whole, they're pretty option friendly. There are definitely some that I've ran into that I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't trade options on this, but that's fine. We can trade the shares of the stock, but whether it's through shares or through options, if I find something in here I want to trade, I'm going to be able to trade it. And that's what I mean when I say trader friendly. We can kind of quickly scroll through and see if anything jumps out to us. I've looked at this TRP chart, several times throughout the last couple of trading days. It had this big breakout and it's been flagging down to the breakout point, but they've got earnings coming up in like 2 days now. So pretty soon I won't have to constantly disqualify them for that reason. Maybe you like the little breakout potential on DVN. Now we probably couldn't build a trade off of these little tiny charts, right? I wouldn't suggest trying to do so, but I know what I like, and you probably know what you like as well, right? And that, what? Let's take a closer look at DVON here or TRP here. If you click on the chart, again, I probably can't make a trade off of this, but I can take a closer look at that pattern, see if it's worth moving over into my actual charting software and seeing if there's something I want to do with that. Just make sure you go back to screener from here. That'll just make sure you come back to this page instead of kind of resetting the overall scan. So just a very easy way to quickly browse through a bunch of charts in an area that's caught your attention for whatever reason. And it really is pretty helpful. The only advice I'd give you when it comes to doing this is make it stand out to you, not the other way around. Don't try to force the issue. When you're scanning for anything, it should jump out. Ooh, I really like that. Ooh, that's interesting. Not, you know what, if I look at it long enough, draw enough lines, maybe I'll find it acceptable. It's very easy for all of us, I think, when we're scanning to fall into the trap of trying to do a detailed technical analysis of everything that we look at. But that's not really, I don't think, the goal of scanning. Once it's truly caught my attention, that's my goal then, right? But I don't want to spend an extra, long amount of time going through them. I mean, there's too many. I've fell into that trap many times. So that's going to be, we'll have one of those for every single one of the different sectors. Just a quick world watch, just the, where you can look at the all world ETF, the global, the emerging markets and the dollar index. And then just a quick final thought for the upcoming week. So that is the newsletter. It's really where you want to start. It really is an important part of the process. It'll help you get a better system down for your weekly and your daily routine and get more comfortable with that top-down approach. But that's, we'll be here talking you through it in the newsletter itself, and we'll be referencing the newsletter, of course, throughout the week in all of our various stuff that we're doing over here. Then I want to really focus on the stock and the option report here now. In addition to the newsletter, each week, as I said, earlier when we were talking about the 7-step guide, we're watch list traders, right? And so we're identifying repeatable tradable patterns and applying this, our individual rules. Yes, they vary from trader to trader for sure, but hopefully we all have them to those conditions. And we want to make sure that our team has quality technical setups to work with each and every week, whether they're trading in the stock, prefers trading stock, or trading options, or like many of us are very open to both, right? They can be built very similar to one another in the sense that a good trade setup's a good trade setup, right? And the fact that you might prefer to just buy shares and I might prefer long calls and somebody else might prefer theta-based strategies. Well, the chart is the chart, right? It's a universal language. We all are starting at the same point. So whether it's in the option report or in the stock report, the first and foremost, is it a quality technical setup? HPQ, is this a quality breakout candidate? Well, at least in mine and the mind of the other coaches, yes, it is. That is Bath and Body Works coming into this week a snapback, broke out, snapped back, was testing the old resistances, new support, couple inside candles to close the week. Yes, that is a technical setup that we can work with over and over and over again, regardless of the name of the stock, right? And so whether it's stock or options, first things first, it's going to be based on the technicals, right? Where the reports are really going to be different is, of course, well, in the stock side of things, we're planning on playing the shares, right? That's going to lead to discussions more on watch list management, more on stop losses, target prices, entry techniques, all of that fun stuff, right? Whereas in the option report, while all of those things are every bit as important, well, we're going to talk some strategy selection too, right? There's a lot of different ways to play something with options. Is there a particular strategy that stands out in this scenario, right? So that, certainly will be differences in the discussion, but how they're built will be very, very similar to one another. There's going to be a little gray area. For example, if you find something in the option report that you like, but you prefer trading shares, that's not going to be a problem. It's going to be real easy to do. If it's got good liquid options, it's going to have plenty of liquidity on the stock. On the other side of it, if you find something in the stock report, but you are more of an options trader, just go check the liquidity. If it's there, it's there. You can work with it. If it's not, and that might be the reason it's in the stock report instead of the option report, it might just be as simple as the stock liquidity is great, but the option liquidity is just not. The spreads are ugly and things like that. If it is, it is, right? It is what it is, as they say. So, you can always double check. I'd say there's going to be plenty of times where you'll find something in the stock report that does have options that you feel comfortable with, but absolutely will be times where you probably be like the rest of us and say, you can't touch those options. So, just make sure you're double checking. And that's always good advice. Anytime you're trading something, whatever it is, wherever you find it, make sure you're comfortable with that option liquidity, right? You don't want to get stuck in an illiquid option. That is for darn sure. So we want to make sure you have some ideas. We're going to have both a bullish and a bearish watch list each week, because you never know what the market's going to bring, right? We're going to have our biases, and while the market's at all-time highs, that's probably going to be a bullish bias, right? But there's always something out there, right? And it's never a bad idea to at least have a couple of bear ideas if you need them, because sometimes you do, right? Sometimes you need them. If you're probably going to do most of your actual technical analysis and work through your own charting platform. I understand that, but probably the first time you work through the stock report or the option report, you probably will be doing it right here on this page. So just a couple of things that you can do with these embedded trading view charts to make it a little easier for you. If you hit this little widget button, that's just going to hide the watch list, so you have a little more chart to work with. Smack it again, it'll bring the watch list back. Your trend line tool is going to be right up here. So this is just a breakout, right? So we've got in this case, it's going to be a horizontal. We can do horizontal. We can do, it's not particularly applicable, but we can draw an actual trend line as well. If we don't need it, we can just, left click it and throw it in the trash bin. If you, the default is set up to a daily chart because we're swing traders, and that's kind of the general default chart time frame for a swing trader, right? But maybe we want to take a look at it from a little longer term perspective and look at that weekly chart. Okay, I like the way that weekly is looking. Or maybe we want to go intraday to our favorite intraday time period to help find a stop loss location or an entry or something along those lines. So this little drop down here will allow you to change your time frame as you need to. If you're one of the traders out there that still prefer bar charts to candlesticks, you just smack that one right there. Most of us these days do use candlesticks, but I know a couple people who still use the bar chart. So to each their own as far as that goes. If you want to add an indicator or two, that's going to be right here. Just hit indicators. This is not going to save, just so you know. So I'm going to add the average true range here and call it good. If I leave this page and come back, this ATR is going to be gone. My line is going to be gone. It is not going to save. So before you add, 7 different indicators, if that's your style, that's fine. Just be aware that if you leave, they're leaving with you and you'll have to set them all back up. So generally, I just add the ATR myself and I'll have all my other stuff on my actual charting platform. If I don't need this ATR to look this big, so if I just hover my mouse over the bar between the volume and the indicator, left click down and just scrunch it down, or if I wanted more, I could scrunch it up so you can get that set up the way that you want it set up. You're going to have this guy right here, and this one is, whoops, this guy is really handy. Before we talk about this, if you roll your mouse click down, I'm doing that right now. If you roll it up, I'm doing that right now. So you can kind of get that chart set up the way you want to. If you hold your left mouse button down in the chart itself, you can wiggle it around, right? If you do it over in the dollars, you can scrunch it up, scrunch it down. So you can basically get it sized the way you like, right? That's important when it comes to charting. The chart's supposed to look the way it's supposed to look, right? So this guy right here is where you can do some trade prep for both long or short positions. This is, of course, a bullish breakout, so that would fit into the long position. So just for example, I'm interested in maybe prepping something here. I'm not going to get super specific, but I want to, enter in above today's high. That would be my entry. My target price is back up here at these old highs at $35. If I put my stop loss below this pivot from a couple of days ago, that's going to give me every dollar that I'm risking, I have $2.07 in potential profit. So that for most traders, we do, use that at least 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio rule, right? And I know I certainly do. Maybe I want to, what if I use today's low instead of that pivot low as my stop loss? That's going to up my risk to reward to 329 to 1. Certainly a better risk to reward ratio at the expense of wiggle room on my stop loss, right? So I can kind of maneuver my stop in a couple places, see where it would make sense. And if I like the way this trade looks, I now say, yeah, I do. I like the risk to reward. I think that's a sensible place for a stop loss. Oh, you know what? I think we can meet in the middle and we'll go below that Friday doji, right? That still gives me 270 to 1. So just does the math for you, right? It lets you know what your risk to reward actually is, helps you visualize the trade. You might look at this and say, wow, Frank, you're a crazy person thinking they're going to run back to 35 in any reasonable time frame. You might be looking at it, say, Frank, that's a wimp. Yeah, you're a wimp. We could probably target these guys to 38, right? So it's going to help you visualize the trade that you're putting together. It is very, very helpful. It'll help you, with position sizing if you need it to as well. I can't tell you how much time in my life this one tool has saved me, which is why I always like to bring it up when we're talking about these reports, because I know what a useful tool it has been for me. And so again, that's going to be right in here, and there will be the short, the equivalent for the short trades as well. So that is going to be the stock and the option report. Again, you can expect these by Saturday afternoon, so you do have plenty of time to get through them before the market opens back up. Don't be afraid. At Tackle Trading, you don't have to tell me why you don't like HPQ. If you don't like HPQ, maybe you think it's a bad company. Maybe you don't like that pattern. Maybe you don't feel like the risk to reward is there. Maybe you prefer other tech names. Why you prefer something, that's your business, not mine, right? So, if you don't like some setups, that's fine. Take the ones you do like, add them to your watch list, and wish the trading world the best on the rest, right? That's very normal. While it's perfectly fine if we want to trade all of them, it's also perfectly fine if it said, you know what, I've already got enough exposure to energy. I don't need ExxonMobil or whatever the case might be. I don't like Cisco for whatever my reasons are. Don't be afraid to take the trade candidates that you like for your watch list and leave the rest behind. That's really normal, and there's nothing at all wrong with doing that. And to that end, that goes for tackle trading as a whole. I always tell people, in a lot of ways, you build your own tackle trading. If you're a brand new trader, you probably use it a little differently than somebody who's been with us for a year, or somebody who's been trading for 5 years when they join us, right? If you're brand new, you'll be, probably spending your time, with processes, right? The technical analysis course, options 101 course, the 7-step guide. the stock report. If you've been trading options for 5 years, you might be more gravitated towards, well, I really like cash flow. That's my favorite thing to do. So you're a little more gravitated towards the option report, a little more gravitated towards the cash flow club and things of that nature. We do a lot. We're going to keep our team really busy around here. We'd rather give you, we'd rather over deliver than under deliver. You don't have to be in every show that we're doing. We certainly invite you to, and we'd love to have you, but we get it. You don't have to be in every single one by any means. Don't be afraid to prioritize based off of you, where you are in the learning process, you, where you are as a trader, what resonates, all of that fun stuff. Don't be afraid to build your own tackle trading. As we get wrapping up, our clubhouse is kind of our own personal social media. It's just a place where, our team can get in, bounce things around with one another, ask questions, it's just trading. It's just us, right? It's kind of our version of Facebook's the way I always put it. I don't know how good of a comparison it is, but that's how I kind of see it. But it is just, us, and it is just trading. And that's definitely a nice thing. We're also active on all the more traditional social media platforms, in addition to our live streams that we do on YouTube, such as the halftime report and the Trade Masters webinar. We've got a lot of other content over there as well, a lot of how-tos, walkthroughs, Thinkorswim tutorials, and we're always looking to add more. So we do have a lot of content over on our YouTube channel outside of our live content. We've got a presence over on LinkedIn and Instagram. We have our Facebook group for Team Tackle. I'm not a Facebook user, but a lot of people do like it. And again, I got no problem with it. If you like it, just another way that you can stay connected with the community. I'm more of a Twitter guy myself. It's a place where, we can take quick pictures of charts that are, interesting technically, let folks know what's, coming up here at Tackle Trading and that type of stuff. I certainly invite you to join us at any of these platforms. If you are using them, come hang out with us. If you're not, well, you're probably never going to get me to use Facebook. So if you say, no, Frank, I'm not using Twitter, I can't judge, because I feel the same way about Facebook. So no big deal. But if you're using them, certainly welcome you to come over and hang out with us. It's always just it's nice to have different ways to connect with the team. So whether it's over in the Tackle Trading Discord, or on Twitter, or the Facebook group, or the clubhouse, or the lounge, or in the chat on our YouTube shows, that it's always popping. Trading can oftentimes feel pretty lonely, because you're at the end of the day, for most of us, we're kind of in our office, in our home office, work office, wherever it might be. A lot of our folks in our day-to-day life don't want to talk trading with us, right? Because trading is one of those things, either people really like to talk it or really don't. There's not a lot in the middle, I don't think, when it comes to trading. It's nice to know that you're not alone. It's nice to be able to talk through these things with folks that are going through the same stuff that you are. It's nice to be able to share what's working, share what's not, all of that fun stuff. So whatever your way is, there's lots of ways to do it, and there's not a right or a wrong way. But whatever your way is, make sure that you're connecting with the team. And there's lots of ways to do it. It can be within your comfort zone for sure, but reach out, lean on your team. We're all on the same page. Everybody here wants to see everybody else succeed in the market. Everybody, right? You succeeding in the market has no impact on me, whatsoever, right? You're not, every time you make a winning trade, I'm making a losing trade, right? So of course, I and everyone else at Tackle Trading are happy to help one another out, because we're all at the end of the day on the same side here. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for tonight. But I do hope that that's given you a better idea of who we are at Tackle Trading, what we're doing at Tackle Trading, where you can find it, all of that stuff. If you are a new pro member, I certainly welcome you to the team. It's great to have you, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you around in one way or another, and I look forward to getting to know you. If you're just checking us out for the first time, certainly appreciate you as well, and welcome to the team as well. We do have a standing offer of a 15-day free trial, so you can come in and see what's going on in the back end, see if it's a good fit. You can find that link in any of our YouTube videos. You can also find it over in the store tab. So if you would like to come check it out and see if it is a good fit, we certainly can give you a couple weeks to give it a try to see, before you have to make a final decision. But I hope to see you all again, one way or another, in the not too distant future. I thank you so much for your time this evening. It is officially November, so stay warm out there. Have a great week, both in and out